G'day, my name is Sean and this is my channel The Guy Who Sews, and in today's video I'm going to go over the report card I received from the State Fair of Virginia to let you know what they said was good on my quilts, what I need to improve on my quilts, and overall what lessons I learned. So let's go ahead and see what they said. Last year I entered my very first quilt. It was a doll quilt. In I actually picked up a third place ribbon, which I was super excited about because I was terrified that no one would like it, and there's my pretty ribbon. And the report card they gave us last year, it's something you get when you enter into a quilt show, was fairly basic. They just had a section of like 5 or 6 different sections, and they just checked the ones that you needed improvement on. And they said I needed to improve on my points, and Blind Freddy could have told you that because these were far, far from perfect. So this year's report card is far more detailed, which I love because it gives us a really good idea of what we need to improve. So I'm going to do it quilt by quilt. I'm going to start off with the t-shirt quilt. So the t-shirt quilt I entered did not win any ribbons, so let's see what they had to say about it. The overall impression they said was very good. It was very visually attractive, and they broke it down into 3 sections, but overall it was very good in that respect. And then they broke it down into the piecing, binding, and quilting as well. And the piecing they said needed improvement, but the piecing was not precise, and that's what they're really looking for in this, and that's a good lesson for me to take from this. The intersections and the sashing is where they said I needed improvement. And I stitched in the ditch, and I tried to be as perfect as possible, but you can see where there are spots here and some other spaces where it's not perfect. And this intersection in particular is not 100% perfect. It's not square, it's just a little bit off. But in the quilt shows, that sometimes makes the difference. So definitely something for me to keep in mind for next time. The binding they said was satisfactory, which I'm super excited about because I am not the world's best binder. They did say that the miter corners were not sewn shut, and that was not something I was aware of that I had to do. So that's something for me to take for next time. They did say the batting filled the binding, and which is good because that's something I worry about. But I find using a narrower binding, I use 2¼ inch rather than 2½, makes the world of difference in my binding world. And then they also told us that the binding was consistent in width and laid flat. So overall, I'm super happy with that binding report. And the quilting they said was satisfactory, which I'll take on that because I thought they'd hit me harder on that than they did. The quilting design thread choice was appropriate. The quilting density was not balanced. Again, not surprised about that because I stayed stitched in the ditch and it wasn't super dense. And that they did say that the thread tension was balanced. So again, I'll take that as a win. And then they also said that the quilt may benefit from additional stabilization. I like to use a thin, lightweight batting, not batting, I mean stabilizer. So, you know, it's okay. Overall, I'm happy with the report and I know where to improve for next time. Let's talk about the doll quilt, and this was the one that came with the pretty white ribbon, so I got third place on this, which I'm super, super excited about. Again, they said the overall impression was very good, visually appealing, and that sort of stuff there, so same marks on that. The applique they said was satisfactory, which I'm super surprised and happy about because I still have a long way to go with my applique, but it looks really good and they were happy of that. The piecing they said was very similar to the other one there, that it needs improvement, it was not precise, and that the intersections and the sashing needed work. And this is kind of the thing, again you can see where it pops out a little bit in the stitch and the intersections are not perfectly square. So let's move on to our binding. The binding I said again was satisfactory. The mitered corners were not sewn shut, again didn't know I had to do that. The batting did fill the binding again, so happy about that. And that the consistent width and lays flat, they said no. And, you know, I can take that because it was not perfectly flat. So, then the quilting, they said again the same. It was thread choice and design was appropriate. The quilting density, they said it was not balanced. I mean, I thought it was fairly balanced, but there's a lot of space where it isn't quilted, so I'm guessing that's what they're looking for. And then the thread tension was balanced once again. There was no additional notes on this one. So what lessons and takeaway points have I got from this? First of all, I love seeing the feedback, and it's a double-edged sword because I like seeing where I went right, but it's also hard to see the constructive feedback as well, because you, as a quilter, feel that your quilts are perfect or close to it, and they're exceptional, and it's always hard to see when someone says, "Hey, no, this needs improvement." But you know, that's how we learn and get better with that sort of thing there. T-shirt quilts, I noticed that the competition quality was much more intense this year, which is not surprising as it was the biggest show they've had ever. And I just feel that it's probably best for me not to enter another quilt in that category for the foreseeable future because where I need to be is not even close at the moment. The quilt will get used. I'm going to love the quilt. I'm going to take it to my donations at the Red Cross when I donate platelets. So it's going to be used, it's going to be loved, and that was always the intention for it. I just figured if I put it in the state fair and got a ribbon, that would be a cherry on top. But, it's okay. The quilt was made for that particular purpose, primarily, to be used and loved. The doll quilt, I'm very happy with it. I've learned a lot of lessons from it and what I want to do. And then overall, I feel that for next year I need to increase the quilting density. It looks like they do want to have more dense quilting in there. And then I'd also need to sew my corners closed because that was something I wasn't aware of. And then I feel like until my skills improve significantly, I'm probably going to submit quilts without sashing because it needs to be perfect, and any mistake on those is going to stick out like a sore thumb to them. So another great lesson. And then I think for next time, I'm just going to focus on 1 or 2 quilts rather than trying to put 4 or 5 or 6 in and improve my chances that way. I think it's quality over quantity. So I think next time I'm just going to do another doll quilt because I really enjoy that category, and possibly a wall hanging as well. And then it should go without saying that any quilt that I intend to enter into a show needs to be a show quilt and not something that's just going to be used or intended for use, for general purpose. Something Amanda and I talked about before with her stuff is with her knitting, she can kind of knit her socks and her shawls and that sort of thing there, and just kind of pick afterwards what she'd like to enter, where it's not that easy with a quilt because it tends to be a little more scrutinized in that sort of way. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and going over the report card with me and learning where I went right, where I went wrong, and where I can improve for next time. I'm really looking forward to the next year's show. I do intend on entering a couple more quilts next year, and you guys can, definitely go along with the journey on me with that. I have plans for the doll quilt already, which is great, and possibly the wall quilt as well. So, if you enjoyed today's video, definitely like and tell some friends. I always love hearing your comments. Let me know what you thought of it, and we'll see you all in the next video. And I hope you all have a great day and happy sewing. Bye.